You know that person who walks into a room and everyone just naturally listens when they speak? They are not born with some magical respect gene. They are using specific psychological triggers that you can learn too. I have identified the exact 7 behaviors that make the difference between being respected and being overlooked. After studying communication patterns in over 500 interactions, I found that respected people do these specific things differently. And I'm going to break them all down for you today. Ever notice how some people walk into a room and everyone just stops to listen? Meanwhile, others can't seem to finish a single sentence without getting talked over. It's not just random luck or some magical personality trait. There is legit science behind why this happens. Your body is like this constant broadcasting system, sending out all these signals about how much respect you deserve. And to be very honest, most of us have absolutely no clue. We're walking around radiating what I call doormat energy, like zero awareness. We are basically giving people this silent permission to walk all over us. And then we sit there wondering why nobody takes us seriously. And here is the thing that actually blew my mind when I first learned it. Your brain processes body language way faster than actual words. Did you know that? Like your brain has already decided whether someone deserves respect before they've even finished their first sentence. That's wild, right? So while you are thinking about what clever thing to say next, your body might be screaming, I don't even believe in myself, so why should you listen to me? Now let's break this down into the 3 biggest body language mistakes that are literally training people to disrespect you. And trust me, once you fix this, you'll notice a difference literally the same day. So the first major mistake is all about your posture. When you shrink yourself physically, like hunching your shoulders, crossing your arms tight, and making yourself small, guess what happens to your ideas in other people's minds? Well, they shrink too. I used to do this all the time in meetings, like physically taking up as little space as possible, and I could never figure out why people kept talking over me. Now, the science on this is crystal clear. Studies show that people who take up more space with confident posture get 41% more speaking time in group settings. And that's not a small difference. Think about it. That's almost double the chance to get your ideas heard just by changing how you sit or stand. The second mistake is with your eye contact, and you can mess this up in 2 totally opposite ways. Either you are doing the creepy staring thing where you never break eye contact, which makes people super uncomfortable, to be honest, or you are constantly looking down, like glancing away or staring at your phone, which signals you don't even think you are worth paying attention to. Both of these extremes scream insecurity to other people's brains. Like, good eye contact is like a conversation itself. It has natural rhythms of connection and breaks. When you nail this balance, people literally feel more connected to you and rank you higher in competence. I am not making this up. There are actual studies on how eye contact patterns directly affect perceived leadership ability. Now, the third critical mistake, and honestly this one might be the biggest credibility killer, is your voice modulation. Specifically, that uptalk thing where you end every sentence like it's a question, even when you're standing a fact. It's like verbally asking for permission after everything you say. This habit absolutely murders your authority on the spot. Your voice pitch, your pace and power communicate way more than the actual words. When you speak with downward inflection and deliberate pacing, your brain actually produces more testosterone, which increases your confidence while simultaneously increasing how confident you appear to others. And it's this crazy feedback loop where the more authoritative you sound, the more authoritative you feel, which makes you sound even more authoritative. Funny. These physical cues trigger these unconscious judgments in people's brains that happen lightning fast. We are talking milliseconds here. And the worst part, once people categorize you as not someone to respect, it takes serious effort to change that perception. It's like their brains have filed you away in the can be interrupted folder. But here's the good news. Fixing these 3 body language mistakes can completely transform how people respond to you in just one conversation. And I'm not exaggerating. I've seen people walk into meetings getting constantly interrupted, make these adjustments and just walk out with everyone hanging on their words. The shift can happen that quickly because these signals are that powerful. While those body language fixes work wonders, there is something even more fundamental going on beneath the surface. You know that friend who always says they can't hang out, but then gives in when you push a little harder? Turns out we are unconsciously teaching people exactly how much pressure it takes to make us cave. And that invisible training program is destroying your authority faster than any posture problem ever could. Here's the weird thing about boundaries. The more desperately you try to please everyone, the less they actually respect your limits. It's like this bizarre paradox where being super accommodating actually trains people to ignore what you want. Most people think setting boundaries is just about what you say in the moment, like, sorry, I can't take on another project right now. But that's only half the equation. The real magic happens in what you do consistently over time. Now let me break this down. When someone asks you to do something you don't want to do and you say no, but then they push a little and you give in, you've just taught them something super valuable. You've shown them exactly how hard they need to push to get what they want from you. And guess what? Next time, they'll skip the polite request altogether and go straight to the level of pressure they know works on you. It's like when you are training a dog. If you give them a treat when they bark, you are not teaching them to be quiet. You are teaching them that barking works. The same thing happens with people. When you give in after saying no, you are not being nice. You are literally training the people around you that your boundaries are just optional. I noticed this happening to me all the time before. My neighbor would ask to borrow something and I'd say no, because last time she returned it broken, and she'd give me this guilt trip about how she really needed it just this once, and boom, I'd hand it to her. Next time, she'd skip right to the guilt trip because she knew it worked on me. I was accidentally training her to stream stroll right over my boundaries. This pattern often starts way earlier than we realize. Research shows people who struggle with boundaries frequently grew up with parents or caregivers who didn't respect their personal space or their personal choices. Maybe you weren't allowed to close your bedroom door, or your parents read your diary, or they volunteered you for things without asking. These experiences teach us that our needs and limits don't really matter. But here's the truth. The root problem isn't actually about other people and their behavior. It's about your relationship with yourself and that hidden fear of disapproval that makes you cave. When someone pushes against your boundary, what's that feeling that comes up? For most of us, it's anxiety. We worry they'll think we're mean, we're selfish, not a team player. We fear the relationship might be damaged if we told firm. The crazy part? Most boundary crossers aren't even conscious they are doing it. They are just responding to those subtle permission signals you are giving off. The hesitation in your voice, the way you over-explain your no, or the fact that you've given in before. They are not evil masterminds trying to manipulate you. They are just following the path of least resistance that you've unintentionally laid out for them. So what's the real solution? It's not just about saying no more firmly or using stronger language. It's actually about addressing that underlying anxiety that makes you give in under pressure. When you feel calm and centered in those challenging moments, maintaining your boundary becomes so much easier. One technique that works amazingly well is what I call the pause and breathe method. When someone pushes against your boundary and you feel that urge to cave, just pause for 3 seconds and take one deep breath. This tiny moment creates space between their request and your response, allowing your prefrontal cortex to get back online instead of reacting from fear. Another game changer is removing the need to explain yourself. No, I can't do that is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone a 10-minute justification for your personal limits. The more you over-explain, the more ammunition you give them to counter your reasoning. Learning these specific techniques to stay calm when challenged is the secret to maintaining boundaries without damaging your relationships. When you respond from a place of calm confidence rather than anxious people-pleasing, others actually respect you more, but not less. So here's the thing about respect. It's an inside job. Your daily habits, the small choices you make when no one's looking, that's where real respect begins. Not with some fancy speech or power move. Start catching yourself in those moments when you feel that urge to people please or shrink yourself. That's your cue to make a different choice. It's like training a puppy. Consistency matters more than intensity. People will treat you exactly how you've trained them to, and changing that pattern starts with you. And the most powerful thing, when you truly respect yourself, you won't have to demand respect from others. They'll just feel it. All right, that's a wrap. If this gave you something to think about or laugh about, do the usual. Like, drop a comment, share it with someone smart, and please subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And hey, come hang out with me at katiekaspari.com/join and join my club and finally find your tribe. You'll love it there, I promise. And in the meantime, we will catch up soon. Same place, same real talk. All the best.